Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, a wildfire in Bedford County has spread to over 2,700 acres in the Thomas Jefferson National Forest. We'll give you the details on what this means for the people of Lexington and Rockbridge County and for other communities across the Commonwealth who are suffering from dry weather.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
And a U.S. congressional hearing escalated after a senator challenged the president of a union organization to a fight.
Then we'll tell you how the U.S. Congress averted a government shutdown.
The bill is passed.
All this and more coming up next on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Jasmine Zhang.
And I'm Liz Trubeck. Wildfires are breaking out across the region. This afternoon, a vehicle fire sparked flames in the brush nearby Afton Mountain, causing a 6-mile backup on I-64. And in Bedford County, a large wildfire is continuing to grow just 4 days after it broke out. And in Lexington, Buena Vista, and Rockbridge County, people are feeling the effects. Smoky, heavy air that is making breathing difficult, especially for those with respiratory conditions. And a haze that is partially blocking the sun. The Matts Creek wildfire is spreading across much of the Jefferson National Forest and has burned over 2,700 acres so far, and there's no end in sight. The Rockbridge Report's Fraley Williams contributed to this report by Luke Fountain and Jenny Hellwig.
Crews are fighting the growing wildfire stretching across Bedford County, one bucket of water at a time. 3 helicopters are dumping water on the flames during the day, and over 120 firefighters from as far as California have arrived to battle the fire. So far, their efforts have proved ineffective. As of this morning, the fire is 2% contained and is still growing.
It's very hard for firefighters to try to contain a fire when the wind is elevated, when you have low relative humidity and all the dry ground.
The first call about a fire came on Sunday evening.
I was coming back from my mom's on Sunday, and I come around this top curve, and when I come around, you can see the red on the end. Of course, you have no phone service here, so I had to go to the bottom of the mountain. And I called 911.
No one has said what has caused the fire. It comes at a time where there are wildfires across the Commonwealth that have been linked to extreme and prolonged drought conditions. One resident says she can see the fire from where she lives. She says her neighbors fear that the fire could spread to their homes as it grows.
They're concerned that the fire could get to their houses. The fire departments are preparing for that. A lot of people across the mountain on the Rockbridge County side are concerned that it's going to come over the mountain into Arnold's Valley down towards Natural Bridge.
While the U.S. Forest Service says the flames are contained to the forest and not threatening any homes or businesses, the smoke from the fire remains a concern. It has blanketed air from Amherst to Rockbridge County and beyond. Rockbridge County, Lexington, and Buena Vista City schools have all closed today because of air quality concern. Health experts recommend staying inside if possible, and if you are outside, wear a mask.
Everybody is at risk for having some problems because of this. First thing to do is to stay inside. That's the big priority. If you have to go out, the next best thing is to wear a mask.
Firefighters from across the country are being called in as the blaze continues to grow. Helicopters like the ones behind me are also being used to contain the flames. But weather experts say that relief might not come until next week, with rain in the forecast. Reporting from the James River, I'm Jenny Hellwig for the Rockbridge Report.
The dry weather in Virginia has not only caused fires, but also droughts. Dry conditions have sparked a water shortage emergency in the town of Appalachia, Virginia. Now, authorities are asking residents to conserve water as part of a contingency plan. Town leaders say they believe this is the driest fall since roughly 1922.
There's no relief in sight if you look at the weather situation. We may be getting a little rain this weekend, but it's not going to be enough to make a dent in our situation.
Nationally, Congress approved a temporary funding bill on Wednesday to avoid a government shutdown over the holidays. U.S. legislators had only a few days left to pass the stopgap bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 87, the nays are 11. The 60-vote threshold having been achieved, the bill is passed.
In Virginia, Democrats in the General Assembly have selected Scott Surville to serve as the Senate Majority Leader in the next year's legislative session. Surville is an attorney from Fairfax County, and he has served in the General Assembly since 2010. He will succeed outgoing Senate Majority Leader Dick Saslaw, who announced in February he would not seek re-election. And locally, the results from the Buena Vista City Council race are finally in. In last week's election, 2 challengers and 1 incumbent won seats in Buena Vista City Council. 3 incumbents hoped to be re-elected, but only Synod member Steve Webb maintained his position. Challengers Ronald Cash and Michelle Polakis will begin their terms in January, taking seats from incumbents Stanley Coffey and Cheryl Hickman. To learn more about the new council members, read Emma Malinak's story on our website.
The mother of the 6-year-old boy who shot his teacher in Newport News last year was sentenced to 21 months in prison and 2 years of probation on Wednesday. Deja Taylor was charged with using marijuana while owning a firearm, which is illegal under U.S. law. Her son took her handgun to school and shot Abby Zwerner in her first grade classroom in January, seriously wounding the educator.
She is incredibly remorseful. She's filled with guilt, and at no time did she intend or foresee the consequences of what she did.
The 26-year-old mother still faces a separate sentencing in December on the state level for felony child neglect, and Zwerner is suing the school system for $40 million, alleging that administrators ignored multiple warnings that the boy had a gun. Washington and Lee University experienced a threat of its own on campus earlier this month. W&L professors, students, and parents want answers after a security threat shut down campus. University administrators received an anonymous threat of violence via email on November 1st. The campus locked down for nearly 4 hours in response. University officials still haven't released details of the threat. To find out more, read the story by Emma Malinak and Fraley Williams on our website.
The U.S. hopes for a better relationship with China following the highly anticipated meeting between President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The leaders discussed a variety of topics. Jen Sullivan reports.
President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping coming together face-to-face for the first time in a year Wednesday. The high-stakes meeting taking place outside San Francisco on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum, known as APEC.
I believe that they were some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had.
Biden and Xi met for roughly 4 hours, discussing topics like pledging to restore military communication, taking steps to curb fentanyl production, and having direct lines of contact between leaders.
He and I agreed that each one of us could pick up the phone, call directly, and would be heard immediately.
Wednesday's meeting, though, comes amid rising tensions between the two nations. In the last year, there have been numerous incidents causing turmoil, like the U.S. shooting down a Chinese spy balloon that crossed over the U.S., though China denied it was spying, and concerns the Chinese government was using TikTok to spy on Americans, Xi acknowledging the country's rocky relationship.
China-US relationship has never been smooth sailing over the past 50 years or more, and it always faces problems of one kind or another.
The war in Ukraine also fueling friction as China strengthens its relationship with instigator Russia and the U.S. aligns with Ukraine. The ongoing turbulence in the Middle East also a topic of discussion.
The United States will continue to compete vigorously with the PRC, but will manage that competition responsibly.
Because a lot was at stake, the meeting was carefully coordinated. It was held at an historic state in the Southern Bay Area. Everything from the flowers to the food being carefully thought out in hopes the meeting would bring reduced strain. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
The UN Security Council adopted its first resolution since the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas war. Wednesday's resolution calls for urgent and extended humanitarian pauses in Gaza to address the escalating crisis for Palestinian civilians during Israel's aerial and ground attacks.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2023/876 please raise their hand?
Israel immediately rejected the resolution. On Wednesday, Israeli troops stormed into Gaza's largest hospital to search for traces of Hamas at the facility. Newborns and hundreds of other civilian patients in the hospital have suffered for days without electricity and other basic necessities. Israeli forces also pressed on with their wider ground offensive, indicating that the humanitarian crisis in Gaza wages on. Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, Businesses in downtown Lexington are expanding their retail spaces.
And stay tuned for my 5-day forecast where we'll go over the dry conditions and what the weather in the area means for you.
And the United Auto Workers Union has ratified its first deal following a 6-week strike. All this and more after the break. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. We Have Moved signs are popping up in storefront windows throughout downtown Lexington. As Jack Krause reports, some businesses are expanding into larger spaces to make more room for customers.
Executive Director Rebecca Logan says some businesses in downtown are on the hunt for more space. Last month, Blue Sky Bakery knocked down part of a wall into an adjacent storefront to create more seating for its customers.
This space became available several months ago, and we considered leasing it, but we knew there were some issues with going through the wall in order to make it larger. So that's what we have done.
The new space has made a big difference for the bakery's customers.
Blue Sky, every time I go to Blue Sky, it's very crowded. So I think having more tables is fantastic. I've had to just kind of stand around and wait for a table or go eat somewhere else a lot of times. And I think it provides another space for students to go hang out.
In August, Cobblestone Shops moved into a space on South Main Street about 3 times the size of its old one. Clover Boutique is moving into the former Electric Pilates storefront. And Mulberry's DIY Workshop will be moving to a different building on West Washington Street later this month.
It's a little tight in here when we have 20 people in here for a workshop. So we've been looking for a bigger space so we can host larger gatherings. I've been looking for a while, and as you know, here in Lexington, things go fast.
2 businesses have temporarily moved into the former Grand Home Furnishings building while their old storefront is being renovated. Logan said the owner of the building hopes to eventually use all 4 floors for new retail space. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Jack Krause.
While local businesses are looking for more retail space to draw in customers, the Red Hen is hinting about a different use for the same space. Business as usual at the Red Hen restaurant in downtown Lexington tonight, but not for long. Luke Fountain is live outside the Red Hen with details on how this Lexington restaurant is closing and what's next. Luke?
The Hen's name on December 31st, and then closing. Restaurant co-owner Stephanie Wilkinson told me that she and Chef Matt Adams are planning a new name and dining concept, but she wouldn't say when the new version would reopen or anything about a menu or any other details. Wilkinson did say that they plan to reveal a new menu starting sometime in the next few weeks. Live from Lexington, I'm Luke Fountain with the Rockbridge Report. Back to you, Liz.
Thanks, Luke. That seems to be the question. How long will Lexington Niners be without that restaurant and still recovering from the loss of the Southern Inn?
A congressional hearing devolved into an angry confrontation between a senator and a witness on Tuesday. Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma asked for a fight with Sean O'Brien, the president of the Workers' Union International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows in this hearing, the last time him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be 2 consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders was the chairman of the Senate panel holding the hearing. He said the dispute distracted from the message of the meeting to encourage workers to join unions.
Well, it's pretty pathetic. I mean, we have a United States Senator challenging a member of the panel who's the head of one of the larger unions in America. Unions like the UAW, the Teamsters, others are winning good contracts. And what the message of the hearing was about is that if we're going to rebuild a disappearing middle class, workers should be joining unions and taking on large corporations who are making record-breaking profits.
United Auto Workers union members have voted to approve a new contract with General Motors. They're the first Detroit automaker company to get a ratified deal. The contract passed by just over 3,400 votes, with 54.7% in favor. The UAW contracts with Ford and Stellantis have not been ratified yet, but voting so far indicates the two contracts will pass.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, we'll tell you why the U.S. House of Representatives is making a push to expel Republican Representative George Santos before his term ends.
And smoke is still rising over Lexington and Rockbridge County due to the Virginia's dry weather. Caden Bus has the 5-day forecast. And later, if you're planning to travel over the Thanksgiving holiday, you may need to pack your patience. We'll tell you why after the break.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. Lexington School Board Chairman will be leaving after the board's next meeting in December. Tim Dia was appointed in 2019 and has navigated the board through the COVID-19 pandemic and other contentious issues. It is unclear when the City Council will appoint his replacement. Republican Representative George Santos of New York will not seek re-election after the House of Ethics Committee cited overwhelming evidence of lawbreaking on Thursday. The committee concluded that Santos, quote, cannot be trusted after a months-long investigation into his conduct. The House has now launched an effort to expel Santos before his term ends. Speaking of things ending, I really hope that this smoke clears up soon.
Yeah, today is actually definitely better than yesterday. But actually, how long will it last, Caden?
So, today was a great day. As you can see from our live shot in downtown Lexington, smoke in the area has been dissipating. Also, today, we've had a wonderful weather with a high of 69 and a low of 42, a barometric pressure of 30, and 2,200 inches of mercury. Watch out though, wind speed is 8 miles per hour and it's really dry out there at 17% humidity, so the fire can spread quickly. Let's look at the radar. No showers in sight, which will mean those fires will keep going. So, now let's look at the regional temperatures. Lexington, Buena Vista, and Lynchburg are all sunny and 69, Stanton is sunny and 67, where Charlottesville is a little warmer at 72 and sunny. Cummington is 58 degrees and sunny, and Roanoke is 70 and sunny. Now let's look at the 5-day forecast. We've had great weather today, and it's going to cool down a little bit tomorrow with clouds and a high of 64. On Saturday, it'll cool down a little more to a high of 57 and a low of 29, but the sun comes back out. Sunday, almost identical temperatures with a high of 57 and a low of 31 and sunny. Monday, clouds come back with a high of 50 and a low of 36. And Tuesday, we get some rain with a high of 50 and a low of 39. So we've had some great weather today, and it's going to cool down a little bit over the next few days. Look out for some rain next week. And back to you, Liz and Jasmine.
Thank you, Caden. Coming up, the Washington Lee men's soccer team is making its push for a national title.
Dancing, keep dreaming of that golden win.
Tell you when and when not to travel this year during this record-breaking Thanksgiving travel season, where roughly 100 million Americans will take the road and the skies.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
I can't imagine being an athlete and trying to practice or play a game with all the smoke in the air.
Yeah, I could barely breathe during my walk to class today. How are the teams handling the smoke, Stella?
A few local high schools have been canceling some athletic games recently. But first, our own generals. Washington and Lee Soccer punched their ticket to the Sweet 16 last weekend with a 2-1 victory over SUNY Oneonta in the round of 32. Our Mackenzie Kane caught up with senior captain Evan DePaula after the win.
Good afternoon, Rockbridge. I'm here on Washington and Lee's Watt Field, where the Generals men's soccer team just made it past the second round of the NCAA tournament. Joining me here on field is senior captain Evan DePaula. Now, Evan, first off, congratulations on the win. Can you just walk me through what you saw out there on the field today?
Yeah, I don't think it was our best performance fully, but we gave all of our energy towards the game. Every single person I don't think there was an ounce of energy left from anybody. So we really hunkered down and, we got the goals early in each half and we came out guns a-blazing, but yeah.
Now, the team had received an at-large bid to make it into the NCAA tournament. What message are you and your teammates sending everyone, showing them that you deserve to be here?
Yeah, so, after losing to Lynchburg in the ODAC championship, it kind of, I think, lit a flame in everyone's body. And, the one message is don't count us out in any game. We can play with anybody in this division and bring energy every day.
Now, Evan, you are a senior on this team. How do you approach these games knowing what's at stake?
yeah, I'm just so proud of everyone on the team. And I know the seniors and everyone including on this team doesn't want this to end. And we just want to keep dancing, keep dreaming of that golden win.
Well, I wish you the best of luck going into the round of 16.
Thank you
And
very much.
signing off with the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mackenzie Kane.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
The Generals will face off against Tufts on Saturday morning in Massachusetts as they try to keep their season alive. Washington and Lee Volleyball captured the school's lone ODAC championship last weekend with 3-1 win over Randolph-Macon. The team hits the court tonight in the first round of the NCAA tournament against Berry College in Georgia. Generals football closed off the regular season last weekend with a strong 40-21 win over Shenandoah. At 8-2, the team is hosting the first annual Cape Charles Bowl this weekend as they welcome Lycoming College from the Landmark Conference. The Generals have only won 9 games 3 times in the long history of the program. Washington and Lee women's basketball picked up its first conference win of the season last night with a 86-67 win over Averett. Mary Schleissner, a preseason All-American, poured in 33 points and collected 16 rebounds in the win. The team hosts the WNL Invitational this weekend at Holcomb Gym. The men's basketball team got back to their winning ways last night with an 8-point win over Mary Baldwin. Robert DeCibio and Jack D'Entremont combined for 50 points in the victory. Down in Columbia, the Keydette basketball team fell to the University of South Carolina on Monday night 74-64. The Cadets fell to the nationally second-ranked Furman Paladins last weekend 37-3. The Keydets have another ranked test this weekend as the 14th-ranked Western Carolina comes to town for the regular season finale. The historic season for the Rockbridge County girls volleyball team came to an end last weekend with a 5-set loss to Christiansburg in the VHSL state quarterfinals. All sports today, including 4 basketball scrimmages, were canceled due to the low air quality in the area as a result to the wildfires. The Perry McClure boys cross-country team took home some hardware back to Buena Vista last weekend after winning the VHSL Class 1 state championship. PM's Kovic Chandler won the individual title. That's all for sports. Back to you, Liz.
Thanks, Bella. Thanksgiving is next week, and we're getting a glimpse into what you can expect if you're traveling. Cole Higgins has a closer look and some tips and hacks to make your traveling a little smoother.
If you're traveling over the Thanksgiving holiday, pack your patience. It's expected to be a record-setting travel season in the skies and a busy one on the roads.
The trend is that people are still traveling in very large volumes.
AAA is forecasting 55.4 million people will be traveling to their holiday destinations, including more than 49 million who will drive to their destination between the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday after the holiday. If you're hitting the road, AAA says that Wednesday afternoon is still the worst time to hit the roads, with AAA recommending you leave on actual Thanksgiving Day.
It shortens the amount of time that you're at your destination, but it also shortens the amount of time that you're in transit.
The Sunday after Thanksgiving is also brutal, but not as busy as it could be.
Hybrid schedules and remote schedules have changed everything because now people can leave for holiday travel at different times.
If you're taking to the skies, brace yourself for packed airports and possible delays and cancellations. The Transportation Security Administration is bracing for an all-time record number of passengers at airports nationwide on this Sunday after Thanksgiving. So what can you do to minimize the chaos at the airport? One travel expert says avoid checking a bag in case your flight gets canceled and you're moved to a different one. Take public transit to the airport or book your parking spot online now. And finally, give yourself plenty of time, be flexible and very patient.
There's always going to be some amount of cancellations that happen as long as we have bad weather.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
That's all. Good night.